Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. Okay, right here I have all the parts I need for the first steps of 22.1 and part of, no, that's all 22.1. What I'm basically going to do is assemble two CV joints. They're going to be bearinged up through these two front suspension units, steering blocks or buckles, and I'll be attaching these to carbon fiber steering points, and there are a variety of these available that will give you different amounts of steering and different Ackerman settings. And Ackerman is something that I'll talk about. That you could do several videos just on Ackerman. Ackerman basically means that let's say that you're turning to the right. The inside tire will turn sharper than the outside tire, which makes sense because when you go around a turn, let's just use a bearing for example. Okay, let's say that's our turn. The inner rim of the bearing is the inside tire. The outer bearing, Reese, is the path of the outside tire. The outside tire is taking a longer turn. It's not turning as tightly as the inner one. So if you designed your steering linkages so that the front tires turn, let's say 20 degrees, and the inside and outside both steered 20 degrees to the right, one of those tires is going to be scrubbing, or both of them, because one of them is trying to take a tighter turn than the other and can't do it. So Ackerman, that imbalance basically in the amount of steering angle for the inside tire, whether you're turning left or right, is a very important suspension feature, and how much Ackerman you have changes how the car turns in and tracks through the turn. So that's something I'll go over again in tuning, and I will probably pick up a couple of these in, I forget how many of them they offer, but it's a handful, and it's a carbon part, so they're probably going to sell them as single items. I'll take a look at this setting here in a minute, the one that I'm following, and see if he's using the stock setup or if he's using one of the optional pieces, and let you know in a second. But you've seen me assemble the rear outdrives, I don't see any point in showing you for the third and fourth time how to put on the boot and the bearings, and generally just set up the CV joint for the axle. They're identical. So I'll just go ahead and do that, with the exception of the fact that it's going into a piece of a steering mechanism versus a solid upright in the rear. It's the same. So I'll go ahead and get this off camera, and when I get to the point where there's something new, I'll come back in. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I usually try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, I have assembled the CVs and the front axles, and they're in the front hubs. So now it's time to get them into the C blocks. Now make sure that you're identifying the left hub and the left C block. There's a little screw here with a washer on it that goes into a small hole right here inside the C block. Now I'm not sure if this is made to be a bump stop of some kind or exactly what it does. We'll figure that out, but right now just go ahead and put it on in, tighten it down, It's a small screw, so don't tighten it too hard. Okay, now the way this anchors in place, since you can't go straight through with a spindle because the axle's there, what you got to do is you got to take these little plastic bushings here and you put one in on top and one below on the hub. Okay, and then we have these two odd looking pieces, and you'll see they have a cut right there and a flat spot right there. The flat spot on the inside is where a grub screw is going to anchor that, and the grub screws are, get some more light. Okay, the lower grub screw goes in here and the upper grub screw goes in here, and so what you want to do is when you insert these, you want to line them up so the flat spot is facing the grub screw like that, and you can tell where the flat spot is because they've cut a piece of this of the top off of it. So C-block goes like this with the open end facing the front of the car, and that is correct, isn't it? No, my mistake. I'm sorry. The C-block goes like this with the open end facing rearward. So basically you just line this up and slide it into place, and then lower in the first pin, and remember to face it forward. We're going to take our grub screw, tighten it in there, and you'll feel it even if that thing's a little off angle. As soon as the grub screw touches it, it's going to turn it for you. You'll see that it's in place. Okay, same thing down here. I'm going to face it forward or face it toward the hole where the grub screw is. This is just for reference, this is 22.2 we're working on, step 22.2. So there is our left side steering, and then this is our front suspension arm, and that's going to drop right in there like that. So we will cover the mounting of that in just a minute. Let me go ahead and get this other one put together quickly. I've already got the screws started over here. Trying not to keep you waiting too much on redundant steps. Have you watch me do the same thing more than once. So in go the little bushings. Flat spot facing the grub screw. And this goes together very easily, and it's a very smooth steering action. I really love this kit. Cannot wait to drive it, but it definitely goes together easily. I mean, it takes time. There's a lot here, but the results are just outstanding. This has definitely been very well engineered. Okay, so next step. Okay, so now that these are assembled, we can go ahead and just wanted to show you there's two holes here that are tapped, and there's grub screws that go into there. And what they are for is this pinion here that is going to be the rotating point for this at the suspension arm. These two are going to press against here and anchor this pin so you don't have metal rotating on metal, and the rotation will occur at either end of the arm in the plastic. So just line this up and find that sweet spot. It's hard to do these things when you can't see where the hole is. Okay, let's see if there's an easier way to... There we go. Now, those are a little tight, and it's a 3mm, and I do not have a 3mm suspension arm reamer, but I do have one on order now. I just ordered one up off Amazon, so I should get it in a couple days. So I'm going to put them together a little tight, and before I can have this actually ready for my first day of testing, I'll have the reamer in. I'll just undo that bolt. I'll loosen those up a bit and get that together. So pays to do it right, and these things are almost always a little bit loose. It's worth getting them. I would recommend getting a wait a minute, was this the 2? Let me just I think this is a 3. Right. This is a 3. I have a 3.5, and the 3.5 was not necessary for this kit. Actually, I might have used it in one spot. I'm not sure. But 4mm. Yeah, the 3.5 was used for the rear arms. Same basic thing we're doing right now, just to the rear, right here. So 4mm for the inner, 3.5 outer, 3mm for the front. I would get all of those sizes, and if there's any other sizes available, you may need them down the road for another kit. You know, buy what you need right now, I guess, because they are all available separately. I've never seen them offered together as a kit. That would certainly be nice. The brand that I bought is one of the brands I already have. There's Integy, and I think I have a Turnigy as well. I don't like the Integy very much. The Dynamite is really nice, because the main difference is how sharp these edges are. Because if you look at this, it's a 3mm, or this in this case a 3.5mm round rod, precision made, and it's got these cuts into it, like these beveled angles, and they are very sharp at the edge. and so that's designed to scrape away material and very small amounts, just kind of shave it. And I find that this Integy model is just not as good. So they had the dynamite in the 3 and in the 4, so I ordered one of each, and that way I'll have a replacement for this that's going to be a better quality tool. Interesting things, when I was looking at that Pro Driver's setup, a lot of his parts are stock. For example, these C blocks here are a 10-degree block. That is the caster, and they are available in several other degrees, like 13, 15, 18, from Serpent. If you go to the page where they have the car, there's a menu option called Options, and that will show you all the parts that are not stock parts. And it's the gentleman that did that Pro build, he's running the stock 10s. He's running the same number 4 steering blocks that come with the kit. The major things that he's got different are springs, fluids, the greases, and the pivot location. So as soon as I can get my hands on them, I'm going to go ahead and get those pivot blocks and or the pinion gear blocks, and it is $60. They're $30 a piece. I thought about ordering them right now through Serpent directly, but the shipping is outrageous. It's like almost $30 for shipping. It must be coming from somewhere overseas, probably Asia somewhere, maybe China, and I think I'll just wait for it to come available in at a nearby hobby store, or some hobby store in the United States. I found one of them on eBay and I went ahead and grabbed it, and so I just need to get one more, and when I get both of them, I'll go ahead and do the swap and see how that goes. But you know, if he's using all these other standard items and he's, you know, happy with the geometry that he's getting from them, but that's something he went ahead and made the change on, and obviously he had to do some testing to determine that that was needed, or that it benefited him. That sounds like a big thing to have, and once you own those 2 items, you've got 4 steps of change to tinker with. The standard high and low, and then the medium low and medium high. So, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And we'll see how that matches to my driving style. That's always a factor. But anyway, we are coming along well. So now I need to put together the connecting rods here and mount them up. And that is the end of the front end, except for the steering mechanism. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, again, it's ridiculous to show you making these. I explained before that one thing to make sure is that, you know, you've got counter rotating threads, so they, you know, are going to screw from the same opposite directions. When you, like, if you look at it from this side, it's going to go in this way. If you look at it from this side, it's going to go the opposite direction. That way, when you rotate this, they either pull them both together or they push them both away. So just make sure you put them together correctly. These are all the same, unlike the rear. There's obviously not a clearance issue for the rear rims, so these do not have any bend in them like the rearward ones do. Otherwise, again, just like the front, it's the exact same ball setup. One that has a threads and a nut face to go on the... God, some of that stuff just sounds perverse. A nut face, a ball set. Okay. You have the one that has no threads, that's a pass-through, that's going to go through this setup. I mean, so many things on this suspension are identical. They're the same parts. It's very nice that they have taken the time to design this in such a way that there's so many items that are, you know, usable across, you know, left to right, front to back, etc. So I'll make those connecting rods and come back in a minute. Okay, I put in the 2 grub screws here and here that anchor the pivot onto the C bracket, and went ahead and put together the linkages. I haven't made any adjustments to them. Basically just put them together and put them into the correct holes. It's a little hard to tell from the drawing. The arms go on the back side, not on the front side. If you do it on the front side, there's too much of an angle. There's a little bit of an angle here, but it's not extreme. And so everything's got fluid movement. I'd like this to be a little looser. I'm still waiting on the reamer to take care of these joints here. That'll be in hopefully in a few days to a week. So the next stop is in the middle here. Motor mount and the center spindle and the drive shafts. So I'm gonna pull out the necessary bag, which is bag number 7, and move on to that process. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.